stop scrolling, because the villain you think you know isn't a demon, and he doesn't chase the living with fire and torture. In Greek mythology, there is a king no hero can outrun, no god can overrule, and no mortal can avoid forever. His name is Hades. People didn't fear him because he was loud. They feared him because he was final. Hades rules the one place every soul must enter, the Underworld, the kingdom beneath the earth where the dead go after their last breath. And unlike Zeus, who throws lightning across the sky, or Poseidon, who shakes the seas, Hades almost never leaves his realm, because his power isn't about showing off. His power is about control. Picture him, a silent figure on a dark throne, surrounded by cold stone, shadow, and rivers that separate the living from the dead. No screaming armies, no endless battles, just law, an unbreakable order that keeps the world from collapsing into chaos. In this story, you're going to step past the gates of the Underworld and see what Hades truly does, how he became its ruler, how his kingdom is built, and why his most infamous connection, Persephone, doesn't just change the Underworld, it changes the seasons of the living world. Because here's the truth. In Greek myth, death isn't a void, it's a kingdom. And Hades is the king. Hades' story starts long before the Underworld ever had a throne, because he wasn't born a ruler. He was born into a war for the universe. Hades is the son of Cronus and Rhea, one of the first generation of gods. But Cronus is terrified of a prophecy that his children will overthrow him, so he does something monstrous. He swallows his own children the moment they are born. Hades is trapped inside his father, silent, unseen, waiting in darkness, until the day Zeus grows strong enough to fight back. Zeus forces Cronus to release his children, and the war begins. The Titanomachy, a cosmic battle between the Titans and the new gods of Olympus. When the Titans finally fall, the world must be divided. The three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, draw lots. Zeus receives the sky, Poseidon receives the sea, and Hades receives the realm beneath the earth, the unseen kingdom of the dead. This is the moment Hades becomes what people later fear most. Not a monster, not a devil, but the final authority over where every soul goes. And here's the first truth people get wrong. Hades is not the Grim Reaper. He is not the one who kills you. In Greek myth, death can be represented by other forces, but Hades is the one who rules what happens after death. He is the king who keeps the border closed. He doesn't chase souls. Souls come to him. That's why Hades rarely appears on the surface world. Zeus can roam the heavens, Poseidon can rise from the ocean, but Hades stays in his kingdom because his job is constant. If the dead could wander freely, the living world would collapse into chaos. Now step into the Underworld, because it isn't just darkness, it's a system. At the edge of death, a soul reaches the boundary river and meets Charon, the ferryman. Charon is the one who transports souls across the waters that separate life from the afterlife, often described as the Styx or sometimes the Acheron, depending on the tradition. This is why Greeks placed a coin with the dead. It symbolizes the price of passage, the idea that crossing into the next world is a one-way journey. Once across, there is a gate, and at that gate waits Cerberus, the monstrous hound. Cerberus doesn't exist to attack the dead. He exists to keep order, to make sure the dead do not escape back into the living world, and the living do not enter without consequence. In other words, the Underworld is less like a chaotic hell, and more like a locked kingdom with rules that protect reality itself. Beyond the gate, many traditions describe judges of the dead, figures such as Minos, Rhadamanthys, and Aeacus, who decide where a soul belongs. Some are rewarded, some are punished, but most enter shadowed regions where they exist as echoes of who they used to be. The Underworld is not only fear, it is memory, regret, and the weight of what remains after life. And then there are the rivers, because Greek myth turns death into a map you can almost trace. Styx, the river tied to sacred oaths. Acheron, the river of sorrow. Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. Phlegethon, the river of fire. Cocytus, the river of wailing wail. Each river represents a different face of death. Promises, grief, forgetting pain, and mourning. The Underworld isn't just a place, it's an emotional landscape. But Hades is not only the king of the dead, he's also linked to what lies under the earth, wealth. Metals, gems, treasures buried deep, everything hidden underground. That's why he is sometimes called Pluton, the wealthy one. The Underworld isn't only where souls go, it's where the earth keeps its secrets.
Please answer.
And then we reach the most famous story of Hades, the one that ties death directly to life: Persephone. Persephone is the daughter of Demeter, goddess of harvest. One day, Persephone is taken down into the underworld, and Hades makes her his queen. Demeter's grief is not just emotional, it is cosmic. She refuses to bless the earth. Crops fail, fields dry, hunger spreads, the living world begins to die, and the balance of the universe breaks so badly that even Zeus must step in. So Zeus sends a command: Persephone must return. Hermes travels to the underworld as the messenger, and Hades agrees to let Persephone go. But Hades also knows the laws of his realm. Before she leaves, Persephone eats pomegranate seeds, the symbol that binds her to the underworld. And once you consume the food of that world, part of you belongs to it. Because of that, Persephone cannot stay with Demeter forever. A compromise is made. Persephone will spend part of the year above the earth with her mother and part of the year below as queen of the underworld beside Hades. And suddenly, the underworld is no longer just an ending. It becomes part of a cycle. When Persephone returns to Demeter, the goddess of harvest rejoices. Flowers rise, fields turn green, life explodes into spring and summer. When Persephone descends again, Demeter's sorrow returns, leaves fall, the earth grows cold, and the world enters autumn and winter. In this myth, the seasons are not weather. They are the heartbeat of a mother losing and finding her child, again and again. And that changes how you should see Hades. He is not a screaming villain. He is the keeper of boundaries, the ruler of a realm that must exist so the living world can remain stable. His kingdom is dark, yes, but it has order. It has laws. And it has a queen whose journey connects death to life itself. Because in Greek mythology, the underworld isn't just where stories end, it's where the world's deepest rules begin. And that's why Hades can't be reduced to a simple evil god. Hades isn't the one who kills you, and he isn't a demon who tortures souls for pleasure. He is the final boundary, the king who keeps the door between the living and the dead from ever swinging open. Without Hades, without the laws of the underworld, souls would spill back into the world of the living, and reality itself would collapse into chaos. The story of Persephone reveals something even deeper. In Greek myth, life and death are connected, not separated. The seasons aren't just weather, they're a divine cycle tied to loss and return. When Persephone is above the earth, Demeter's joy restores spring and summer. When Persephone descends again, Demeter's grief pulls the world into autumn and winter. And Hades, the silent ruler beneath the ground, becomes part of the heartbeat that shapes the living world. So if you had to sum up Hades in one line, it would be this: Hades doesn't need to hunt anyone because everyone eventually comes to his throne. In Greek mythology, death isn't a void, it's a kingdom, and Hades is the king no one can escape.